So this, hey, congratulations. Alright.
Wow, boy. I know we can sing. Take up the band.
We down here at a location here with Eric Howell, and what happened tonight?
Well, it looks like our team, the hard work me and my team put in, it paid off. We won this election. We won this runoff election, City Council District 4. So we're happy about the results.
Okay. And when you say we won, who you mean we?
Me and my team. I mean, all these people you see here, these people are part of my team. They were instrumental in all this.
Okay, all right. Okay, and what do you hope to accomplish now that you have gotten elected? How do you see Valdosta?
I see Valdosta in a position right now where we can start moving forward on some of the things we talked about during this campaign. Public transportation, community policing, better jobs. Those are the things that we can start moving forward on.
And I know you probably answered this to someone before, but what inspired you to run in the first place?
People in my district have been talking to me about things that had been getting done, and I had some of the same complaints, so I decided to ask questions and see if I could get any results, and I couldn't either, so I just decided to run myself.
Okay. What do you see the status of this city today? How do you view the city from an outsider as far as the city council itself goes? How do you view the city?
I see Valdosta as a city that's ready to explode, more a city that's ready to go backwards. I think with the right leadership and the right ideas, Valdosta can move forward and be the city that we want it to be. But if we stay stagnant, keep trying the same things over and over again, we're going to start regressing. Like I said before during this campaign, ever since Mayor Rainwater died, I think Valdosta has been in a standstill, and I think we need to move forward. We need some forward ideas, and then the city can be what we want it to be.
Okay, I do know that there was a little controversy between you and your opponent. So how do you plan to mend the gap between that, or if you think, what you plan along those lines? I got to ask you that because I'm sure a lot of people ask that question.
Well, my whole thing is my team and I, when we started this campaign, we said we weren't going to go negative. We were only going to talk about our ideas, and that's what we did. We only talked about everything that we wanted to do with our team. We didn't mention any of our opponents. We didn't talk about anything that they were doing. We only talked about the ideas we had for the city. And like I said, from the beginning, ever since I met Kevin and I had a wonderful relationship. I never knew him prior to running, and he's been honest with me about everything that we talked about, and he's someone I want to consider working with.
Okay, my final question is this. You are going to be on city council.
Yes.
Your wife is going to be somewhere else. Is that going to be a strain on your family?
No, I have a great support system. I mean, I have a great support system. We have a great support system, and I'm quite sure we can find a way to manage it.
Okay, thank you, man, very, very much. And peace be unto you, man.
Thank you.
And all the success in the chair. Well, one other question. When you get in the chair, will you make a promise that you will not take the purple pill and you forget the people that put you in the office?
No,
some people take a purple pill, that's the room in the community, and then they can no longer identify with the people that they put in office.
Well, I can promise you this. Every meeting that we have, I will make sure that it's announced so people can see the same things I talk to them about. When I knock on this door, that's the same thing I'll be talking about at the meeting.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And they have so many, what you're trying to do.
All right, y'all, smooches.
I never
I'm going on back to my room. All right, y'all. All right, bye. See ya.
Can you come with Mexico? I love Mexico. I said, I got this square footage. Can you that? And but you know,
working to correct long-standing social and economic issues in lower-class neighborhoods. Eyewitness News reporter Goldberg finds out why now.
If we keep following the same pattern that we have always followed, we're going to continue to get the same thing, and that's nothing in the black community.
George Boston Rhines and John Robinson are a pair of community activists. They walk these streets and see their troubles.
I'm just hoping that we can get some fairness, that we can get some clarity, that this don't be shoved, that this cannot be shoved under the rug any longer.
This is the report that outlines numerous social and economic issues facing Valdosta. It's called the Analysis of Impediments to Fair Housing Report, and it was put out by a Texas-based organization called J.B.R. Planning Group. The Valdosta City Council voted to adopt the report in their meeting on 5th, and addresses issues like predatory lending, economic disparities, and poor neighborhood conditions. James Wright's a city councilman who is putting together a steering committee to help give the city direction in correcting the problems.
The steering committee will be a diverse group of people, which we hope will include all citizens in our community, and we hope to educate our community about the impediments that were identified in the analysis of impediments.
But Robinson and Rhines say it's all old news. This report follows the footsteps of several others in recent years, but they call Councilman Wright a sort of folk hero for his efforts to breach the status quo.
And so I commend Councilman Wright for taking a very strong stand and drawing attention to this great problem in our community that have existed for over 16 years. And truly, it's time for a change now.
In Valdosta, Greg Goldberg, CTV Eyewitness News.
Councilman James Wright helped draw attention to many of these issues when he boycotted the City Council retreat in March. Cities in Lowndes County can't agree on how to split a lucrative tax. Eyewitness News reporter Ames Yates tells us what's causing this conflict.
There are 5 cities in Lowndes County, all known as lost. What they can agree on is how to divide the money from that tax. Between January of 1999 and August of last year, the lost tax generated about $2 million. The distribution of that money has been roughly the same over the last decade. Cities like Hayhira have seen an increase in household growth, but an increase in lost tax revenue.
If they're spending more money, then they should get some of it back.
Understood.
If they're contributing more to the economy, then let it contribute back to them.
But not everyone agrees with changing the way the money is divvied up.
I think blanketly, like evenly distributed so everybody gets a fair amount, because hey, they may get more money, but they may not need the money back as much as, say, Lake Park would.
Community leaders will meet on Wednesday, May 2nd, to debate this issue. In Valdosta, Ames Yates, WCTV Eyewitness News.
Hayhira gets about 1.4% of the lost tax proceeds. Valdosta gets around 38%.
Reverend Rose, first of all, I want to ask you about the election, but we had a meeting today with the mayor and the interim city manager, Mark Barber, and how did that meeting go today, in your opinion?
Well, it went well. I have some questions. Although the mayor said that they had 4 or 5 blacks who had power to hire and fire, it's my understanding that they have the power to hire, but they cannot fire. That is all left up to the manager. That bothered me a little bit, because that still shows that blacks do not have the power that whites have in this town. Secondly, I'm excited about the makeup of council, particularly with the election today of Mr. Eric Howard, a good, solid black man. And now there is no excuses. There can be no excuses, because we have the majority down there now. This is a black town, and we ought not to be ashamed of that. We are sons and daughters of slaves, and others are sons and daughters of slave masters. So we must not forget that ever and act like that. And when we have the opportunity to take over things, we should take it over because that is our right. In this country, in this democracy, the majority has the right to rule. And that's all we're saying. And if we are 51% of the population and whites make up only 43% of the population, it is our right to rule. Now, that does not mean that we need to mistreat anybody. We shouldn't. But at least we ought to love, respect ourselves, and help ourselves.
Okay. So what would you say to Eric Howell coming in and having a majority on the council? What would you say not only to him but to the majority of black council?
Well, I expect them to be black. They don't have to be white, and they don't have to hate white people. Mm-hmm. And if there are suggestions that are made by whites that make sense, they should accept them. But they shouldn't accept suggestions made by whites simply because they're white.
Reverend Rose, and this is my last question. Some people would say to you, there you go playing the race card because you mentioned it the way you do. Why do you have to bring in black and white in the race issue?
Because that's the way it is. When I get up every morning and come into Valdosta, there's a big sign that I run across every morning early, and it says, visitors, Valdosta, a city without limits. Well, it is without limits if you're white. It is limited if you're black. Now, that's not something I made up. That's just the way it is.
As long as you've been here, and you said today when we was with the Mark Barber and Mayor Gale, you made a statement that you have been here X number of years and that you've seen very little change?
I have seen absolutely no changes. The positions of power, without exception, all held by whites. Now that can't be denied. One of the reasons that I don't go to the Rainwater Center anymore is because of the 6 general managers that they have hired and directors. They have all been white, and they didn't even interview anybody black for the position that is now being held by a man who was a former police chief with absolutely no tourism experience, none, at $10,000 a month for at least 6 months. Now, they didn't interview anybody for that position, period. And they have 5 blacks out there for nothing, absolutely nothing.
Okay. Reverend Rose, I'm sorry, I just love to speak. You paid your dues to be able to talk in this community. But I want to ask you a question. What's the status of Serenity Church and what's the status of the museum?
Serenity Church is, without question, a black church. We don't make any bones about that. It is a black church. Now, I don't believe in segregation. There are white members over there. They come every Sunday. They were Bible class tonight even. So we don't, but they understand that it's a black church. Now, there's a difference in segregation and separation. Every church in this town, whether it's white or black, is a separated church. First Methodist Church is a white church. The white preacher had lunch with me the other day. A very good man, but he understands that that's a white church and we are a black church. His wife comes over and sings sometimes. He comes over and preaches sometimes. But that does not negate the fact that we are an African American church, period. And we don't try to act like we're white. Our music is black. The sermons are geared toward freedom. We're a black church, period.
And you do have military veterans there, don't you?
Military veterans are there. We also have
college students.
College students there. We run the whole gamut, and we got an African American museum, and the 10,000 square feet of space has been dedicated to African Americans, their culture, their music, their pictures are all over that place, and we invite family and friends to come and take a look.
Okay, close us out, Doc. What legacy would you want to leave to the people of Valdosta if you left today? What would be you would like to say?
I would like for people to say that he went when others stood still. He was there for the people. He stood for the people. And if you're going to say anything at all, I can wrap it up in one sentence. Floyd Rose could not be bossed or bought.
And he was a Jesus man.
And yes, and my legacy simply was that Jesus was the yardstick by which I measured my life.
Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. This is the Ghetto Free Press, George Boston. I am doing what we do because it must be done. Bye-bye. We're gone. We still down here at the election, and we just had a winner of, what, District 4?
District 4.
District 4. What's your name?
J.D. Rice.
And what's your former job, man?
Retired fire chief, City of Valdosta.
What do you want to say about the election, or just the city in general, or what's your endeavors in life?
Well, I think it's a golden opportunity for the City of Valdosta because Mr. Howard is very energetic. He has some great ideas. Eric and I had talked about him running during my mayoral campaign. And he said he wanted to run for city council because he had some concepts and some ideas that he wanted to bring to the city. Some of those were some excellent ideas. One of the ideas that I was really impressed with Eric was his concept, what's known as community-oriented policing. Those in law enforcement are familiar with the concept, but Eric wanted to take it a step further. We know that typically and statistically, most of the crime, most of the reported crime, happens in predominantly black neighborhoods. One of the concepts that Eric had suggested was sitting down with the chief of police and introducing the idea of having more minority police officers patrol minority neighborhoods. So I asked him about that, and he said, JD, if you think about it, you have these older black ladies sitting on their front porches every day, watching their neighborhood, and they are more receptive talking with folks who they're comfortable with. You look at your traditional police officer, he may sit in his car an hour, 2 hours on his computer doing his paperwork, whatever. But his idea was to get those officers out of their cars, going up, talking to Miss Johnson, Miss Smith, introducing themselves, bringing some donuts, having coffee, establishing a rapport with them. The same thing with those kids who are shooting basketball, establishing a rapport with them. So when something does happen, they're more receptive to coming to the police, saying, look, this is what I know about what happened in my neighborhood. And I said, Eric, you'll be surprised. Nationwide, that idea is catching on. It's a good idea for Valdosta that you have, not to say to eliminate any jobs. That's not the concept. That's not the idea. But the idea is to have folks in neighborhoods that folks are comfortable with. And that way they're more receptive to coming over, conversing with our local police officers and helping to combat crime. And that was an excellent idea. And another idea that really impressed me about what he wanted to do, our city parks. There are too many parks in Valdosta that does not have public restroom facilities. Something as simple as a restroom. Drexel Park, Coward Park over on Bemis. Those are parks that are frequent by folks in those neighborhoods, but there are no restroom facilities there. And for the city of Valdosta to be a metropolitan city and to have any park that doesn't have relief facilities for our kids and our residents to use, to me, is atrocious. So we need to consider, those ideas are great. And he also wanted to have more sidewalks. And I concur with Eric. I said, Eric, Valdosta needs to be a more pedestrian-friendly city. We need more sidewalks. And those ideas. So that some of the things he come across with me, Brother Rhymes, was very impressive. And I said, Eric, I pray and hope that you do get on city council, because I think you can make a difference.
Okay. Do you think that contributed to his win tonight?
I really think it do. I think his message resonated with people. I think his message connected with people, and folks can relate to what he was talking about. Because when you talk to me about having speed bumps, and say on Northside Drive, people will take Northside Drive to get to from Valdosta High School to Valdosta Middle School, and they would take shortcuts. They would turn down Deborah, turn down some of the other side streets to make a shortcut over there. In those neighborhoods, the traffic should be 20, 25 miles per hour. But folks are speeding through those neighborhoods trying to get to Beamers to get over to Valdosta Middle. Having speed bumps to slow that traffic down is a great idea, because school buses are using those neighborhoods to drop and pick off kids. And you don't want to have a child trying to maneuver around 35, 45 mile an hour traffic to get home after being dropped off from a school bus.
Okay. All right. Anything in closing remarks?
I just want to tell people, voting is paramount. It's important that we vote. People always think about the presidential election and sometimes the statewide election, but it's our local election. These are elections that mean most to us daily. Our sidewalks, our parks, our neighborhood, our water and sewer. These are decisions that are made locally. That's why it's imperative that we take an active role in our local government and make sure that we have people representing us locally that's going to express and exercise our needs.
Okay, very short form in 5 words or less. Is Metro City of Valdosta ready for public transportation?
We've been ready for 16 years.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm hanging tough.
What's that name again, man?
Paul Ransom, Deacon Paul Ransom.
All right, we made that trip out there to the Mary Turner, and we also went up to Morgan together, and I like rotating with you, and I saw you here tonight to the election return, and well, how do you feel about the win tonight? Did your candidate win? Or?
Oh, well, I'm not in District 4.
Right.
So he was the winner for District 4, but my candidate won. He just wasn't in my district.
Right, got you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm always glad to see our folks make progress. I'm collecting stuff for the museum. I'm collecting stuff for the museum.
You told me once before, and the reason why I like to talk to you is because I don't know what your age, and we don't have to discuss your age here, but you got some little dancers in your car that people remember you. And you call them, I call them a little Hulu girl, but you call them eye candy. Oh, and go ahead.
Eye candy, that's what it is.
Yes, sir, eye candy.
When you get to certain age all the time, if you make it.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm lucky enough to, what's the date of it?
You say you're 64?
No, 84.
84.
And what's the day, the 5th?
Yes, sir.
25 days, I'll be 84.
Okay. All right. Well, I just want to holler at you, man, and get you on tape here. A man that have lived like you and got that hat on there. I should focus on it, but I've done that before, Korea and Vietnam era. Yeah. And so I just commend you for the service you've done to this country. And you're a member of Serenity Church.
Oh, yeah.
And very active there, I might add.
Oh, yeah.
And active in your community. And you specialize in, though, what you call them, 3D?
3D photography.
3D photographer. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, my brother. All right, peace.
All right, y'all take care.
This is the Get To Free Press, and we report what others ignore. This is your First Amendment right to know without whiteouts from a controlled news media whiteout network. And we are located in Valdosta, Georgia, and we are here to inform, educate, and persuade if necessary. Always keep that in mind. Moreover, I want to say to you that as a community, state, nation, and world, we are not who we claim to be, but who we prove ourselves to be over a given period of time. And if we are a liar, time will tell. And if we are a racist or a hater, time will tell. And our righteous and holy God already know. So you are only fooling yourselves. Again, the Ghetto Free Press. I'm George Foster Rines.